major part of the whole deal.
If you're on a sailboat and you're going far and you're taking ocean water and you're saying that if you distill it, then you're getting the bromide because that's the water you're drinking?
If you're distilling ocean water, the bromide will volatilize off. Yeah. Well, the thing about distilled water, though, is distilled water is really corrupted water because it's not been evaporated. It's been distilled, which is a different idea than evaporation. So I'm not really a big fan of distilled water. It might be the best thing, if you don't really have any other choice. But really, ultimately, the best thing is spring water, right at the source, especially in that first 10 feet of a wild spring. And the reason why I tell you that is because you have to have that on the map somewhere, or you're not going to go for it. If you don't know that there's something magical about this cold spring source water, you're not going to get there. What I found from drinking cold spring water at the source is it's so fructogenic. The whole idea about it is how do you open up those fructogens to go into your body into one pass going through your body? And it's very difficult. So what I've gotten into doing is taking fresh spring water at the source and running it through a nebulizer. Now what's going on there, Stephen Starr, is that those fructogens suddenly are becoming available through your lungs. And all of a sudden, the power of that water is amplified. Now, I know that from experience. I can't explain it scientifically. I'm trying to, which is this fructogenic property. See, that water is so tightly bound, it's so coiled up with power, it's so much love in that water when it pops out like that it actually feeds all these trees, all these animals, all these things. It's actually, in the David Hawkins analysis, spring water that pops out like that is in the level of consciousness of 2,500 to 4,000. It cannot incarnate as a being. It can only be generated or created by the earth as an entire being itself. So when people say, well, I can create water, I can match the earth's water, that's just so hokey, it's a joke. Nobody can artificially generate spring water because spring water is generated by an organism that's more conscious than Jesus.
So when you said nebulize, I think you wanted to sort of like
something I love the nebulizer because what it is it's a technology that was developed for pharmaceutical medication by the pharmaceutical industry. We love them. Now we're taking that, we're putting it to good use. We're taking it right to a spring source, right there. Boom, let's say the spring is coming out right there. Right there, that first 10 feet, you will see the water replicates. Anybody gets to a spring source, you see it comes out, little trickle that big. Within 10 feet, all of a sudden it's this big. Within 100 feet, it's like this big. And it's like, where is all this water coming from? It has been noted for a long time, actually since the beginning of history, that the amount of water that shows up in a river right here, for example, does not equal the watershed of rain that comes down or spring water that flows out. Water's replicating itself. It's doing that all the time. Dew water is a replication of water. Hydrogen at the blade of the tip of the grass actually is mating with the oxygen right at the dew point, and boom, water's being formed out of nothing. Dew water, firstborn water. And it's happening in rivers all the time when water, especially if the water's cold. If the water remains cold, water and the hydrogen is able to accumulate. Then what ends up happening is the ozone is sucked into the river and it mates with the hydrogen and replicates water and produces more water than a spring or the watershed can produce. Water is created out of nothing all the time. That fructogenic property, which is the hydrogen in the ormus, can be volatilized through a nebulizer and breathed in, and then you actually get more of it that way than if you drink it. Because if you drink it, you're only hitting it on one pass. You're not really getting the exposure of all that good stuff. Is everyone kind of following me there? That stuff is so tightly coiled up that it comes out of those springs up in those mountains and still, even right here in this river, at that point, still coiled up. It hasn't unleashed all its good stuff yet. It's feeding every plant, everything, all the way down to here, but still, even here, it hasn't unloaded all its stuff. That's amazing. Water is the whole thing. I mean, water's like, what is more conscious than Jesus and Buddha? Water. Spring water at the source. And you can do your little thing on that one. You get to the spring source and you measure its consciousness. It's pure love. It's giving pure life to everything all the time and not asking for anything.